Hi, ho everyone, and welcome aboard. It is Tuesday once again, and hopefully it's a bang cracker of a Tuesday. We could do with some good news, I think. I'm going to share my screen and take a look at the pound setup for today. G'day, my name's Jeff, by the way, coming to you live from Tasmania in Australia, and I'll be joined very, very shortly by Ash, who'll be coming to us live from, where's that place? Brighton. I've got a place very near me called Brighton, but I think the Brighton that Ash lives in is far better than the Brighton that's near me. Very, very country-ish where I am, I've got to say. There he is.
Hi,
G'day,
mate.
bud.
Sorry, I'm a bit late. I'm doing a bad night. Just before we start, just to say
Yep.
that the CAD Swissy, I'm cutting the trade, so I'm closing the position of the CAD Swiss, and I'll show everybody why in a moment.
Yeah, it's like a few things. I better turn my camera on. G'day, everyone.
In fact, two things.
Yep.
Sorry, mate. Two things. CAD Swiss, and I'm getting ready to go short in copper. Getting ready to go short in copper. So I don't know whether have you done the pound trade already?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Let me see. Okay, where will we have time before the open if I do this for a few minutes here or not?
Yeah, well, I'll give you the entry as it stands. 128.82 is going to be the buy. 128.33 is going to be the sell. And again, we're trading one candle, so the stop losses will be the reverse of those two. I'll come back and elaborate on that when you're done, mate.
All right, fantastic. All right, so trade. I'm looking. I've taken my trade in copper, but you can still get in here. Still a decent price. And what we've got is copper, which is XCU USD, and that is a short. So it's a sell. And you can take it at market. So 65, 83, 34 is fine. 65, 83, 34 is fine. And stop loss is going to be up at this area here. So 66.43. And we can do profit taking later on down the line, but just to kind of like give everybody that trade. I'm in slightly higher, so you might want to wait until it hits that daily pivot. But if this bar ends up negative, then I suspect that we might start getting some orders in below. So I will just note down what I have done here, so we can do the journal later on, mates. So we got 65, 83, 34, and with a stop loss at 66.43.
Hi, John. Hi, Sino. How are we doing, guys?
But yeah, just to reiterate, I've closed the CAD Swiss, and it should only be a 0.5% loss for everybody. But we'll talk about it later on. And but I've closed the CAD Swiss. Don't like the price action on that, and we'll discuss it in further detail when Jeff has finished. So let me pass back to you, buddy, and you can do the pound. But yeah, I thought it was important to get this in because we've been waiting on this one, and it's just set up. So
yep, don't want to miss out, or don't want the guys to miss out. More importantly,
exactly.
Okay, video on. Pound.
Close. Sorry. Yeah. It is. I've closed the position. Sino, I will talk about why I've closed the position. I know it should be way down. Your stop loss should be way down, but I've closed it, and I'll discuss when I close positions and how I use stop losses in a specific way later. But I've closed that position.
Okay, we don't have a candle. Yes, we do have a new candle. So those entries are accurate. 128.82 is the buy, and 1.2833 is the stop loss. Once again, we're trading one bar because the range of the last three. Why isn't it closed? That's bizarre. I'm on the 4-hour chart. No wonder. Actually, guys, wow. Sorry. Let me give you those levels again. Oh my God. Look at it. Ouch. Outside doji, outside doji. That's dreadful. Righto, let me change all this. 1.2868. You guys would have picked up on that anyway, right? You don't need me to tell you, surely. 1.2868 is the entry for the buy. And again, we're trading 1 bar. Stop loss 1.2846. We'll get to the take profit shortly. And as I say, again, we're trading 1 bar. So the short will be 1.2846. And the stop loss will be 1.2882. How did I manage to get that right? That's bizarre. Because it's not right. 2868, you goose. How you going, Ash, writing all this down? I'm throwing everyone a curveball.
Yeah,
right,
I haven't written anything down yet. So what we got?
Oh, it's on the screen. I'll put the trades
on the
in
screen.
Market.
So we got the buy.
TPs aren't right yet.
Buy at 1.2868. Sell 1.2846. The TPs aren't right, no problem. Okie dokie.
They will be directly.
Right, let me actually write this up on our spreadsheet. This is good, mate. It's day 2, so we can. Well, we should have a pretty decent number of trades to analyze by the end of this week. That'd be pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got a few that might be interesting. In particular, the ones that I wanted to trade early in the week, which is Sunday, of course, when I do my analysis. They've run away from us a little bit, so that's always good. That means I'm going to get better prices on them if they do set up. Okay, so there you go. We have our orders in place. Now, one thing I do need to check is, do we take the short here? And it looks like to me, just by the naked eye, that we don't. 2846868, so that's 22 pips of stop loss. We need 11 to get our TP1. We either make a decision and go with 7 pips, or we can the order. We'll go with 7 pips. So TP1 is going to, on the sell, this is, will be at 1.2857. Sorry, 7 pips, wasn't it? 59. 1.2839. Let me get that right. That's TP1. And TP2 will be double the risk. The risk is, again, 22 pips, so 44 pips below there. I think I can work that one out, 1.2802.
Risk on these is always 0.25%, isn't it, mate?
Yep.
Yep.
Just let me see if I've got this right. 2846 to 2868 is 22. We want 11, but we haven't got room to take 11, so we're taking 7. So 1.2839, pardon me, is correct. And 1.2802 is also correct. For the buy, TP1 will be, again, we've got 11 pips that we want to take. And we can do that before we get to that high. So 11 pips is correct. So the TP1 will be 1.2879. And TP2 will be double the risk, which will be 44 pips above 1.2868. So it'll be 1.2912. What did I say the TP1 was? I should have typed in it.
Didn't you say 44?
I don't know. Did I?
Oh, TP1, no, 1.2879. Yeah. Is that 1.2 or is it 0.2? Yeah, 1.2. Yeah, gotcha. And the sell stop is the same as the buy price, isn't it? Sell stop loss. Yeah.
Yes. I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Okay. 1.2868.
2912. Okay, let's hope it goes better than yesterday, where we got in and out very, very quickly, and the pound took off, as did a lot of things against the dollar. Interesting where the dollar is, Ash. I had a look at the dollar index chart. Let me analyze the pound whilst we're on it, though, and what I would like to be doing if I were trading the pound without the breakout scenario. And I've got to say that bar looks really nice to me, apart from the fact that it's big. So I've got about 190 pips of risk. If I wanted to go short, I've got about 40, let's say 50 pips of reward before I hit a support level. So that really isn't good enough. But I do like it. I like the bar. The bar is telling me that this is a lower high. And we've now got a sequence forming lower low, lower high, lower low. It's not a lower high yet, but to me, it's a potential lower high. And if it is to be proven a lower high, then I would expect that we're off down here somewhere. It's very tempting to trade this, Ash, I've got to say.
Okay.
But the candle is too big. Contextually, it's not. And I want to talk about context. You hinted on it yesterday. In fact, you did more than that. You're talking about the hammer.
Yes.
And it was all about context. And today we've got a very, very similar scenario where there are some really nice setups that I would like to take in different circumstances. I'll get to those when I do my analysis after you've done yours. But pound, yeah, I like that candle. Let me see. So entries there. 45. What did I say? 190. It's not enough. It's just not enough. I'm going to pass, but I'll be looking for this. I'll really be looking for this to catch an entry short up here. Let me imagine how that might be. So this is this is a daily chart. Okay. Let me go to the 4-hour chart and see what that looks like. I'll be looking for a false break of resistance. And as usual, that will look like a trade line for me. So we'll probably look at there and you son of a gun, close up. So I'd like price to get up to here, find this level again, get back underneath it and retest it. And that will be my opportunity to go short. That's what I see on the bigger picture. Gone into a little bit of consolidation here. Looks like we've been entered short, pardon me, already. We need to pay attention if that's the case. So we're taking profit at 1.2839. So that's 2 pips away from where we are. So let's get ready to close that, or half of it anyway. There, no. There, no. There, yes, no. Why can't I get into the cell? That sucks. Okay. I'll go another way. All right, get ready, guys. There you go. Take your profit. Take TP1 at 1.2838 Ash. will be the TP1. We've actually gained another pip on that.
Okay,
Half
so
off the
TP1
table.
is it? Yeah, go on then. Talk me through this.
So half off the table.
Yeah.
So move stops to 1.2854.
So are we break even at the minute?
No, we can't lose at the minute.
So okay,
Same
so
thing, I
it's
suppose. Yes.
yeah.
So we've moved our stops. I'm going to cancel this buy, delete the buy, get out of there.
Okay, so we've been triggered sell. We've been triggered on the sell, and we are at break even. All right.
Right, now we can close that part. We'll close 0.13. And 38, I've actually got better now. 37 I've got, but recorded as 38. And stop loss to 1.2854. Okay, let's hope the daily pivot fails today and we get down to the weekly pivot at least. Right, mate, there you go. That's all set and running.
Okay, fantastic stuff. All right, mate. Well, let's talk about copper. And talk about a few things actually. So you can see copper.
Hi, Paresh. Hi, Andrew. Sorry, mate.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, you're absolutely right to do that. Copper took off straight away, so actually looking pretty good on copper. So we're in pretty good shape here. Looks like the monthly pivot is actually, we might even be, what's that? That's 40. That's about 53. Yeah, it looks like the monthly pivot is halfway home. Now, I'm going to leave the management up to you guys. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm going to leave the management up to you guys. Some things you can do. You can move your stops to break even. Sorry, you can take profit here, take half your position off here. And after you've taken half your position, then I would move your stops above the trend line and not to break even, because this still may go down and yet come and test the trend line. So that's one aspect of it. Now I'm trading this on longer term time frame, so I'm not really that interested in taking profit just yet. I'd like to take my profit, start taking profit down here. So I'm really after a trade that will go, what do we say, 54? Yeah, near enough a 3-to-1. That's what I want here. Now, if we look around the grounds on copper, then we will see that barometers, if you like, is to a degree the stock market. If the stock market isn't doing so well, then copper will likely not do very well either, because it's a kind of expansionary product or expansionary commodity. It is involved with building and things like that. Now we can see that the FTSE 100 is struggling somewhat here. We are, to a point, it looks like we are still in a downtrend with the stock market. We've had a fairly decent run to the upside, but you can see FTSE 100 still daily chart trending to the downside. S&P daily chart, lower low there, lower high, lower low, and it looks like this may well put in a lower high. So if the market is in a genuine move to the downside, which I suspect it probably is, then we will probably see the S&P come down from here, and you can see a pretty nice trend line there. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in these trades. It just means that that I'm expressing my bearish view with copper at this stage, and we'll see what else shapes up. Now, let's quickly talk about the CAD Swiss. Now, the CAD Swiss. So I've closed my position on the CAD Swiss. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't like the trade anymore. It just means that the timing isn't right, and the market has suggested to me the timing is not right. So why would I let it come all the way down here and stop me out at a 1% when I can cut out at 0.5%? Now, if I get now, remember, this is about a series of trades. So one thing that we mustn't do is get attached to our opinions, because my opinion with this going up, it hasn't gone up. So I come out. Now, I put my stop down here at the monthly pivot, all the way down here. That was where we decided the stop was. So why would I do that? Why not just cut out here? Well, there's a couple of reasons I don't cut out there. Now, you guys must have noticed, where's my pen gone?
In your pocket, mate.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that's an expensive piece of kit as well. I don't want to be losing that. I had it earlier because I wrote up the trade, didn't I? Where have you gone hidden? Oh, dear. Okay.
Molly.
I'll tell you what, she's an absolute beast this morning, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Is there no school?
Yes, there is.
She's been expelled already.
Well, she might do by the end of today. She hasn't slept well at all, and I can already hear her screaming downstairs.
Ooh,
so I'm
ouch.
glad I'm up here, mate. Oh no, where's that gone? Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to do it without. So the reason I put yeah, there's a few reasons I don't put stops in these places. Now, the first reason is, if I define a stop down here, then price can spike and come back at me, during the trading day. Now, the second reason I don't put my stop down here is that what you guys may have noticed overnight is that the spread on your trades widen. The broker puts on from this thing, which is what currently a 2-pip spread, it will go to around about 10. It can go up around about 5 times what the normal spread is, and that can take you out just on the increase of spread that the broker puts on these markets as they go from one day to the next. So that's why I like a nice wide stop loss down here. And it also means that if I'm getting into trades down here, which is at 1%, let's say, if that's 1% my risk, like I have done with copper, it means that if the price breaks down, and I'd see it genuinely break down like it did here, price breaks down there, not able to get back above at this particular stage. So if I cut my loss here, I've saved all that money while still giving myself time to think. So I haven't over leveraged my account by putting on the trade. And it meant that it gave me more time to see the thing develop, because I don't know where the orders genuinely sit. I can't tell. I've got an assumption that they probably sit here, but they might well be sitting, the buy orders might be sitting down here. Now, if that is the case, the chances are, now I've got this trend line in place, the chances are, if we still like the trade, it doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. The idea that was kind of thrown in, I can't remember who mentioned this yesterday, I think it was Helen, but the idea that was thrown in yesterday, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea, but it can mean that the timing is off. So I wish I had my pen. Tell you what, I'll have to find it. I'll have to find it when I come off. I might be able to draw. I'll be able to draw without it for the minute. If I see this happen, the price is going to be messing around here for a bit. Maybe it even comes down and tests it, but maybe it goes above. Let's say at some point it goes above and then comes back and tests here. I'm going to be entering near the same price that I got out of. So the loss on the whole trade, if we think about the two trades together as one, is doesn't even become 0.5% or 0.25%. It's the risk now is, okay, we're down a third, let's say we're down a sixth, but we've still got the opportunity to make money. But it looks to me here that we do need a better signal than was going on. Now, it doesn't mean that the entries weren't valid, and Helen was pointing out that it was coming down hard and fast. Markets do that, so that kind of thing doesn't worry me. And over time, we'll see when we start journaling this thing in the US session, we'll see whether scaling in is better than waiting. We'll see what the result of that is. So I'm still keeping this one on my watch list, but just to explain, that's the reason I put it down there. Now, it doesn't affect my reward ratio, and I'll show you why. Because if I have a risk to reward ratio, and I'm always aiming for about 2 to 1, and if my reward is up here, and I've entered a trade somewhere around, it would have been because I scaled in, didn't I? So it would have been an average of about there. Oops. Now, if that comes down 25, so I've got 25 down, but I've got just over 26 up. Now, the reason it won't affect my risk to reward ratio is that if this trade starts going in my favor, then I can add to it on the way up. So I can get just a little bit more certainty by keeping my stops a bit wider, and I can add to the trade. You know, if it does decide to kind of go in my favor, then I can start to add to the position instead. So it's just a different way of kind of using the money management to get into trades and just have a little bit more certainty. This may not fail here. You know, we still may see by the end of the 4 hours that this is holding on, which is going to be okay. You know, I don't mind sort of like giving away, you know, 1/4% or 0.5%, you know, depending on, in fact, it'll be 1/4% by the time we re-enter, if we do. I don't mind giving away that if I make my 1.5%, 2%, 2%, 3%, 3%, 4%, whatever it is. I don't mind that. I don't mind sort of just having that little bit more certainty. And it's a real key to your success. Cut your losses and let the winners run. And this is just an illustration of cutting the losses. And as I say, it may turn around, but I don't see the point while the market is telling me at this stage that there is a genuine break of the area that I picked out that it needs to hold. And we are moving to a lower low, a lower high, and a lower low. I see this trending to the downside on the 15. So I don't see the point in holding on here. When I can just give away a little bit of cash and have just a bit more confidence that if it turns back in my favor, so I just get a better entry.
Apart from that, was there, to the best of your knowledge, a fundamental reason why that so dramatically fell off the face of the earth?
Well,
I know the Swissy strengthened across the board pretty much, but I have no idea. And I think
no, do you know? I don't really know if I'm honest. I think what's been quite interesting about the moves that we are seeing is that the Swissy may well have just preceded, you know, potentially some of the fear that we're seeing with the stock market this morning, because we are seeing a little bit of risk off come into play. We did see it in the Asian session, a bit of risk off. We're seeing a bit of risk off coming with the UK session as well. But I guess we always kind of have to go back with this kind of thing. We always have to go back to oil and see what oil is suggesting here.
Interestingly, and I don't disagree with you, but the Aussie and the Kiwi today are doing okay. So
yeah,
that tends to suggest that's not the case. And the Swissy slipped a bit. So
yes,
that's what I said this yesterday. You know, it's wax on, wax off, isn't it?
Yes,
it's risk on, risk off. And
yes,
it changes hourly, if not daily.
But interesting. I mean, this was what we were looking at yesterday. Remember yesterday we saw that big move to the downside with oil.
Mm-hmm.
Huge move to the downside. But actually, you're right. You know, all that did was, and this is why I don't really I ignore bars like this as huge signals unless they're in the correct place. You know, this is just a big move to the downside within the bigger picture of the trend, and it created a buying opportunity. So this is why I don't pay too much heed when the market comes down thick and fast in certain situations. But this is still holding, and oil is actually now looking pretty good. So maybe this does actually give us a little bit more confidence that CAD Swiss could start moving to the upside instead of moving to the downside. So this happened at 2 o'clock UK, so just before the US market opened. And the move to the downside in the CAS against the Swissy was an hour later, you know, and it continued to the downside. It's drifted since then. So oil will become a little bit of an issue, but you know, it's not they're not married enough, I think, for us to make an absolute assumption that is what's been driving this in one way or the other. I think it'd be quite difficult to know at this particular stage. So. I wouldn't really want to hazard a guess at this point, mate. Why this happened and why we have seen some weakness. Maybe it's just a bit of clearing out. I don't think the weakness is significant enough. You know, we look on this on a 4-hour chart. On an hourly or 15, it always looks like it's really significant. But on a 4-hour chart, it doesn't look that significant as yet. You know, we have broken down this trend line, but not with any real significance and confidence. You know, this is a hammer here. Maybe we end up with another hammer here. So we might just be like carving out a fresh higher low here, which it still is at this stage. It's still a higher low.
And I'm still bullish. But that big seller bar, and it is a big seller bar, looks like a news.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. But it does look like.
To the best of my knowledge, there was no news apart from that fracas or potential fracas that we were that I saw on the news last night before the US show that suggested that they were going to sink some ships or some bloody thing. I don't know. I don't know
Yes,
how that panned out.
No, I don't either, and you know these things do happen, don't they? Where we get well, we do get you know this release that comes out. Everybody kind of has this knee-jerk reaction. It drives the market down, and then it sets back up again. So, you know, I'm just going to wait for another setup on this. I'm okay to wait. Don't really mind holding on until it becomes a bit cleaner. Just looking around the board. Oh, there was just a story about Canada and Huawei, so there's nothing of interest there. French consumer confidence holds steady in December. We will get to the news and data. So let's have a look at you know what data points we do have today, and we do have Christine Lagarde, don't we? Was it yesterday she spoke?
Was yesterday. I think she's on again today, if not tomorrow.
I think she's on again today, yeah. So maybe it was something to do with that. I mean, you know, if we go back to yesterday, Christine Lagarde, 245. It could have been something to do with that, mate. It might even be some positioning just before that happened. Now I'm gonna have to read up on what she said yesterday and what that was about in a moment. But nothing huge today. There's no major driver that I can see here with the markets. A bit of consumer confidence now. That won't be significant unless it's a real standout number. I wouldn't think, but it does start to kind of pick up on Wednesday. Christine Lagarde, and I know we went through this yesterday, but it's well worth reminding ourselves of what we got coming. And Chicago PMIs, and of course the start of the month happens in a couple of days as well. So we might be even clearing out some positions, and it might be that the CAD Swiss isn't going to be ready until the start of next month anyway. So it might be Thursday that we need to wait for this one, which I'm okay with. So it could be a little bit of a tricky session in some respects. I think but maybe picking up some short-term trades or short-term moves is absolutely fine. The copper trade that I've taken is certainly looking for a longer-term position, a slightly longer-term position. I certainly wouldn't want to get out of that before the end of the week unless I have to. Before we analyze anything else as well, we should really check out the dollar, because the dollar has had a bit of a pullback.
Just looking at this chart myself at the moment.
Yeah.
I've got a nice confluence area there, actually.
Okay. Well, for a buy?
No, for a sell.
For a sell. Okay, let's have a look.
Which is too late right now. I mean, it's already gone. I've got it at the confluence appears at 94.75. where there's a trend line on the daily chart and a horizontal level that goes back to, what's that date? The 9th of March.
Yeah, still looking a bit weak, isn't it? Gosh, is the dollar only going to have a couple of days of respite and before it starts to come down again significantly? Who knows? Yeah, 4 hour looks a little bit weak. If we think about where this one came from, actually, let's do it on a 1 day chart. Thinking about where this one's come from and this inverted head and shoulders area, it could do with cutting back a little bit more, and maybe it flies into this this level again before we get some further upside. I think the interesting thing with the dollar is the squeeze, isn't it? You know, where we might see a squeeze between this upper line and this lower line, and then again it's going to be anybody's guess really where it goes from there. But I would have thought, yeah, a selling opportunity would probably be the best course of action for a little while down to this point, but after it comes down to 93.50-ish, then I wonder if the buyers start coming into play with the anticipation that we could.
That's kind of where I'm at. If you put a line right there where your crosshairs are, go up a bit, go up to the open and close of those two bars. Well, there's 3 bars that are on the trend line at the market.
These ones here.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you put a horizontal line across there.
Yes.
And then go back to, I think it's the 14th of March or 20th of March, something like that. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see that low there.
So your confluence there is just a little bit higher. So we've already come off it.
Interesting, mate. Interesting. Both picking levels last week, weren't we? I was saying 96. You were saying 95. But actually, that 94.65 was the first point it failed at. I mean, it's failed pretty quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, as I say, it may not be over, but we're in a sell area right now, I believe.
Yes. I think you're right. Yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting with the dollar. I mean, we looking at this on a daily chart and just looking at this this MACD down here, buy signals started to come in on the 11th of August with the cross of the MACD and the histogram turning to green, and you can see it growing here. So this is indicating that the trend is still okay. Now this is going to be a relatively slow indicator, but it is suggesting that the trend is okay. So I would still wonder whether we could come back, cut into the position, and then go again. But I'm in complete agreement with you that the dollar could weaken further here. If we look at that in conjunction with some other things to do with the dollar, so I've looked at the euro dollar, and euro dollar. Yeah, could do with a little bit further up, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's one of my contextual scenarios that I'll explain a bit later.
Okay.
As is the Aussie.
Swissy yen 4 hour looking for a short from Sino. CAD Swiss has no chance of going up. Yeah, it could do. We don't know why. Sorry, Sino. I've only just seen this. Why did the Swissy drop? I don't know. Difficult to know. And this is why with trading we can never be certain about anything. So can it still go up? Yeah, hopefully I explained that. It can still go up, and we'll watch it for still going up. But until the setup arises, I'm not interested. I'd prefer to put my money somewhere else. I'm not gonna use margin on something which is not going in my favor, and could go in my favor eventually. But my probabilities have already decreased because the setup now is for a short on the short term. So I am cutting that. Well, I have cut that one. So the Swiss yen, let's have a look at the Swiss yen. But before we do that, this one could do with a bit of upside, which would match that dollar as well going down. So maybe the weekly pivot, possibly, and I would have thought probably a little bit higher with the euro dollar before it comes down. Then we go to the metals, and let's have a look at what's been going on with those bad boys. Gold. Right on top of that weekly pivot, and also silver. This is a trade that was of interest yesterday. We talked about this yesterday, and I know some people got into it. I did get into it to be honest, but I was a bit late. I got in just at the break of the high, and I took it off just before that weekly pivot. But I did close the position because I'm still a little bit concerned about the potential move with silver, and gold. But it looks like, looking at that dollar, that this does have a little bit further to run to the upside before it's going to be under any major stress. So I think we could take that weekly pivot out. So metals look good. Euro looks good. Maybe the Swiss CAD is not a good trade right now because of that potential dollar weakness as well. Kind of want to see them both going in the same direction if we're going to trade the Swissy. But let's have a quick look at the Swiss yen for a short. Difficult one to short. I don't know how you feel about the Swiss yen, mate, but I always think that you've basically got two risk-off currencies. And
well, we're in it to start with. And we have been for, I don't know, when did we get into this? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Well, that tells me what you think about that one then. So,
this is the third week we've been in that trade. We're at a nice horizontal level. Is it a scaling point? Maybe. If I see a setup, and I'll go through that one as well when I do my analysis. But yes, it could be a sell point. We'll see. It doesn't look good at the moment, I've got to say.
No, it doesn't. It's above the daily and the weekly pivot here, and it has just made a little bit of a potential base point down there. Let's just have a look on the hour. Yeah, it doesn't look right yet. I mean.
It's not a reversal yet, no.
No.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. So
Yeah, you quite like this one as well. So Swiss would potentially be short, and maybe the Swissy is something that we can look at. I am interested in the Swissy. I think that the central bank, as I said, the Swiss National Bank, I think that their motivation to devalue the Swiss franc is pretty big, is pretty high. So I do think that the Swissy has got a pretty good chance of weakening. But what's going to be the trigger and the catalyst? Will it happen? We still don't have that information. So it's a bit early to be speculating, I think, on anything with the Swissy just now. Oh, yeah, Dennis, I like it. What's generally good for is not always good for anyone else. Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, you just have to think about the dynamic. If you look at let me show you something. Unless you've got, sorry, mate, let me pass to you quickly because you've probably got trades that you might want to analyze as the half an hour bars got a con, haven't they?
I actually want to place one as well.
Okay, all right. Let's do that, and then I want to show you guys something.
All right, happy days. This one's got plenty of time, I think, before we actually get into it, and it is Euro Yen, and we're going to place a short on Euro Yen. And we will have a look at Swissy and the tick as well. So what are we playing here, guys? Can anybody guess what we're playing here? Or not guess. Not guess, don't guess. Tell me what we're playing here. We're going short under that bar there. And the levels I will give thee. This is a 0.5% trade.
What's the product, mate?
Euro Yen.
Okay.
I'll give you the levels. Going short at 124.93. No, that's not right.
1.2.
No. God, this is hopeless. I'm going to put the in. This never used to be like this.
No,
I don't know why it is. I'm going to put this on here to give me the correct bloody levels. Sick to death of it. I'm going to put in a protest. Okay. The level will be 123. Let's make it 122.97.
1.2297.
Good, guys. You've got it. Awesome.
1.2297. That's right, isn't it, mate? Is it? What's the strategy? Is it a slingshot?
It is the slingshot, but it is the burglar trade.
The burglar. Do you know what? I've got so many different names for your trades right now.
Well,
I've got the +1. I've got the ABC. I've got a higher low. I've got a burglar.
It's actually a false break, and the guys in the room are absolutely spot on. Well done.
I'm going to call it the slingshot burglar.
That'll do.
Okay.
122.97.
Yep.
Stop loss. We want the stop loss there. 123.48.
1.2348. Risk is 0.25%.
0.5%.
0.5%.
Yeah.
0.5% risk. Call it 830. And it's currently yeah. Go on. Sorry, you got the rest of the parameters. TP1.
Well, that sucks. So we've only got 43 versus 13. Doesn't quite work. We'll do it anyway. TP1's 122.89.
$1.2289. Yep.
TP2.
Yep.
Will be 122.55.
1.2255.
Mm-hmm. And the rest will just let run. So it'll be a third off at TP1, a third off at TP2, and you'll just let the rest rip we'll micromanage that in need, but we're looking for something down here in the 116s. Okay. That is Euro Yen. Actually, if you read those back to me, I can actually put it in the market, mate. That'd be good.
Okay, no problem. And I've got a question in a moment as well. Okay, so we got the price at 1.2297.
$1.2297 or 122.97. Sorry. Yep. That's entry. Stop loss.
Your stop loss is 1.2348.
That'll do me for now, and it won't let me do it. Why? Oh, I'm on this small account. Won't let me. Goodness gracious. Hello. 1.229, 122.97, right?
Yes.
Righto. Sorted. That is, as I said, Euro Yen. But quickly back to Swiss Yen. And if I get rid of that, that would be good. So Swiss Yen, this level here is interesting. Now, if you are of a mind that Swiss Yen could continue to go short, and as I said, we've been in this for 3 weeks now, you would be looking for a little bit of consolidation here, then slipping back underneath here. You'd really want to take the pivots out and then come back and retest them. So back under here, any retest here would be a lower high, and that would be your time to go short. You want to take profit before the low. However, if you were of that mind, I may well be if it sets up like that, but I just won't go in here because we're at a level. That doesn't mean anything. I need to have something that's a little better than that. There may well be another trade line coming through here at some stage as well. So I'll be waiting on that one. Now, the one thing I did want to show you guys, sorry, you needed to come back, mate, didn't you?
Yeah, I just got a couple of questions. Pending orders that we were talking about yesterday was dollar yen. Nothing done with that right now, not triggered.
No.
Aussie dollar.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Okay, great. All right, that's pending, right?
No. That was.
Is it triggered?
No.
Okay.
All the above. Right. So the entry was here, right? Above that bar, if my memory serves me correctly, at 70, 75 maybe. Oh, I've got it here. 70, 76. So there was our entry level right there. And what you should have done versus what some people did are two different things. And this is the very, very frustrating part about not having a Telegram group, guys, or not having a access to you guys after we've placed orders, because I've got a strict rule that says after I place an order, in particular on a small time frame, which this was an M30 trade, after 6 candles, you cancel the order, because what I'm looking for hasn't happened in that time. And I figure that we're just going to go into a dreadful situation like here, where you may even, no, I don't think you were tipped in there, but had you hung on, then of course this morning you got triggered in and you'd still be in that trade having got a TP1 71.15. I think it flew through there. Oh no, it hasn't got there yet. 71.15 be up here somewhere. Yep. Okay. So my rules, and I didn't even wait that long because I went to bed well before the 6 candles were up, and I won't stay in the market on an M30 trade without being able to manage it. So as soon as I go to bed, I cancel anything that's got anything less than 4 hours or daily in it in terms of time frames. If you are still in this, yeah, maybe you'll do okay. It's looking okay. Certainly riding up this trend line. That's not actually a bad bar, but I can't join in the fun right now. I would need to see something a little more than what I'm seeing, but it is one of these contextual things that I was hinting at that Ash actually just explained yesterday with hammers. Now, regardless of what you're trading in terms of candle patterns, horizontal levels, crystal balls, tarot cards, whatever you're trading, it doesn't matter to me how you get in the market. But what does matter to me is why you get in the market. And with this particular scenario today, if you have a close look at where price is, it is bang dead set in the middle of daily and weekly pivot, neither of which has been tested. Very, very interesting scenario, because one of these will be tested, not necessarily today, but we will go towards the daily pivot at some stage today. I can almost promise you that. What I can't say is if we'll visit the weekly pivot first. And if I knew that, my goodness me, I'd be able to sell that formula very, very easily, I can assure you. So this is very, very interesting today. What do we do? Do we say, okay, we've got an untested daily pivot? Yes, we do say that. And for that reason, it's very difficult to trade away from it. And we've got, the saying, longer the stronger. Is the weekly pivot a stronger magnet than the daily pivot? And the answer to that is no, it's not, because the daily pivot has far more probability of being tested today than does the weekly pivot. Far more. It's a far, far higher probability scenario. But as I said, it's very, very difficult to know whether we're going to get a weekly pivot test before we get the daily pivot test. Impossible to know. So what do? Well, it's not that difficult, really. We wait. And if we get a setup that says we're going short, we trade it short. If we get a setup that says we're going long, we can trade it long, but we would have to trade it with far less risk than we would if we're going short, because short is the far higher probability. So all of that said, what I'm looking for a daily pivot test. So I'd be looking for a break here and then come back underneath, give us a retest, and that gives me the short. Now, would I take anything less than that? Yeah, look, I would, because it's higher probability. What would I like to see? Well, I'd like to see us probably hit here again and maybe give us another low test bar sitting on that trade line, or a break and retest of this level. Either would do, but then you've got an issue again. And this is, again, the context, and that's what I wanted to discuss today. Just because you've got a candle pattern or a horizontal level, or, as I say, a crystal ball or a tarot card reading, I don't care. You've got to take context into account. And the context here is very, very interesting, as we've discussed. But there's also another rule that I've got, and that is I never trade into the low of the day or the high of the day unless it is a new high or low. This is not a new high or low. So therefore, if I find an entry in this vicinity, I would have to take profit before that level. Very, very similar to what we did on the pound, right? The pound, we took profit just before the daily pivot or just on the daily pivot. Was that a good idea? Hell yes, because look what's happening. These are the contextual things that you need to get into your trading repertoire. Because if we were to go short here and didn't take profit here like we were supposed to, right? We were supposed to take profit at 11 pips, which was down here somewhere. Had we done that, we're already losing. We've lost. As it turns out, because we knew the context being daily pivot, which has got a very strong ability to repel price as well as attract it, played that out absolutely spot on. So that's what I wanted to drum home to you guys. Ash had a hammer yesterday in entirely the wrong position. This is exactly the same thing. If you understand where you are in terms of support and resistance areas, then you will save yourself a shit ton of money, absolute shit ton of money, because look at that. We would have lost that had we not taken profit just before the daily pivot. So you don't have to look too far to find a case in point, and there it is, staring you right in the face. I hope that helps you, because it should help you. Do not trade 30-minute charts in particular. On my strategy, or really anybody else's, if you're trading intraday, you've got to take notice of these levels, because they just do the same thing every single day of the week.
Has that closed now, that pound trade?
Yeah, mate.
At break even?
At break even, yes.
Okay, cool.
So you can record that one.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Actually, I did one pip better than the break even.
Well done.
Classic.
What's that in percentage terms?
Oh yeah, good. Actually, we've got to show you guys how to work out the percentage. Wait till we get a winning trade and we'll show you.
Okay. Right. I just want to...
Oh, sorry. Shukri, you're right. SH1T, ton of money. My apologies. YouTube just struck me down. Gone again. Context, absolutely. Context is the word. When price is between two pivots, the longer, the stronger does not apply. The most probable outcome is the stronger, Sino. And the most probable outcome, I can tell you on a daily basis, is in particular on currencies against the US dollar, it's highly probable that we get a daily pivot test every single day. On euro dollar, and if you've ever done my classes, you will know how to work that out. The percentage of daily pivot tests on euro dollar is, since I've been trading, and I'm going back 13, 14 years, and if you can go back as far as you want in the charts, it's the same result every single time when you do that calculation, whether it's over a week. Sorry, a week's a little bit too tight, but a month, 3 months, 12 years, 100 years, I haven't quite got that far yet. It's the same. It comes in around 70 to 80% of the time the daily pivot is tested. So the lesson there is, of course, why would you trade away from that? You can, but gee whiz, you want to have a gilt edge set up or a really strong crystal ball to tell you that it's going long before it goes short here. And it can, of course it can. But you're trading something, and the figure on the Aussie, I don't know. I haven't done that exercise for ages, but you'll find the percentile will be high. It'll be somewhere between 60 and 80% that the daily pivot is tested. I mean, you don't have to look too far. Just go back in time and have a look at the instances where it hasn't versus the instances where it has. So to answer your question, the daily pivot is always the trump card. If it's not been tested, I'll always trade towards that with decent risk and trade away from it with very little risk on the table. And that goes for major trend lines as well. But the daily pivot's king when I trade 30-minute charts. It's the number one thing I look at. It's God. So I hope that answers the question. And that's about my lesson for the day, mate, really, I think.
No problem. Do you know what? I'm just looking at just trying to find some data just so I can show everybody something, but I can't find it.
When did we place this dollar yen trade? Was that in the US session last night, was it? I think it probably was.
We got another trade live, are we?
No. I'll just putting it up for those of you who weren't in the US session. I think it was US I placed this order.
Okay. Yeah, I can't find what I need here, so I don't think I'm going to be able to show it. Oh, maybe I can actually. Yeah, I can.
For being in profit, I love that.
I can. Okay, so let me show everybody something.
What do you got?
Right. This is the this is the interest rate for the Swissy. Now we're down to negative 0.75 right now, but 2012 we were at zero. In fact, you can see really sort of like since the financial crisis, we've been just bubbling above zero and starting to come down here. Now, if we compare this to, let me see if I can do this on. There's not a lot of history on Forex Factory with this, unfortunately. So let me just see if I can bring this into play. So it's just a bit. I've only literally just found it, and I wanted to find it earlier, but this is where we're at. So let me just bring this into play. Because this is important. It's got to find my data point. Here we go. Right, here we go. Right, let's compare this to the dollar. So we're looking at sort of like really this 2016 area here. So so what's happened here? So in 2016 that we see that the interest rate in the States was growing. It was going higher and higher and higher and higher. Now that is what this economy, the Swiss economy, needs. You know, it wants to be one of the most competitive in the world of interest rates. You know, it wants to have enough distance between itself and the other big nations out there to be competitive in the marketplace. You know, because if the goods and services are cheaper from Switzerland, it means that given two goods and services that are equal, then people are likely to use the Swiss services. But what's happened over time is that national banks, you know, because we've had these huge shock waves that's been going on, then the national banks have been lowering their interest rates, and namely the dollar, because that's the kind of king of all of them. But look at where the Swissy is since 2000. That's probably around about 2015. Since 2015, the Swiss National Bank has pretty much had to leave their interest rates pretty much on hold because they are negative already. You know, this is when they were at zero at 2012. And then we go into 2016, very, very competitive interest rate here as the dollar starts to strengthen 2016. But now we're kind of back to where we were before. And we see that 2019, 2020 starts to drop down significantly. And obviously, look where we are now, 0.25% with the interest rates. Now, that's a 1% spread between the Swiss National Bank and the dollar, whereas up here it's at 2.5%. You know, in 2019 it's at 2.5%. So very, very competitive at that particular point. But now we're getting to a point where small countries like Switzerland are just not going to be able to remain competitive in the open market when you've got something like the dollar that has reduced the price of goods coming from America. So this is why we are looking at the Swissy, and you know why I'm looking at the Swissy, and I'm kind of going, well, they're going to have to do something. There's going to have to be something to be done. Some kind of market manipulation is going to have to go on here, and this stuff goes on all the time. So what's going to be the release, and is it possible that with forgetting the lower interest rate in the dollar in the United States, we've also seen the value of the dollar decrease as well. So all this stuff comes into play when we're thinking about how competitive one country is against another, and countries can't survive if they are on effectively almost an even playing field with these huge nations. And one thing that they can do is keep their interest rates nice and low. You know, make sure that they are competitive in the marketplace. Well, their competition's just been wiped out. So who's next to move? Will it be the US or will it be some of these other currencies? And I suspect it will probably be one of these other currencies. The question is which ones. And you have to say that the euro will be quite high on the list, and you'd also have to say that that Switzerland would be pretty high on the list as well. So I'm waiting, as I say, for some movement with Switzerland and to see what they're going to do next. We haven't had any announcements yet, but if you go and read the statement, the last statement from the Swiss National Bank, you will know that they are very, very concerned with the competitive nature that their particular currency has got to the rest of the world. And it's not just the dollar. We've seen the pound weaken. The yen was already weak. So the Aussies, you know, that they've also taken measures. So they're in a pretty difficult place right now. So I suspect we could see some movement. But as I say, we haven't had that yet, and we can't trade on anticipation because that could take years for this stuff to develop. But just be aware of you know what drives these central bankers to do certain things, and we can make decisions off the back of that as well. The copper is starting to really cruise now. It looks like it's trying to break through that that monthly pivot. We're looking down here as a potential profit taking area. So it's still got some ways to go, and it might fail here. I might have to take some profit here. I'm going to allow the chart to tell me what's going on, but it looks like we got just about the right time with the copper trade before it went. So we should be in pretty good shape.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know what, mate? It's one of those things that that these are the ones that we want to let run. And not make decisions on too early. You know, see if the market does bottom out here, then we will take our profit. We want to let these ones run. And just back to this, you know, these are the ones that we want to be saying, let's cut our loss. You know, so on aggregate, we're already up over 1% on copper. So on aggregate, we're around about you know, near 1% in profit over the 2 days. Now, we've got to try and target around about 5 to 6% a month as a minimum to double an account every year. That's not necessarily the target we need, but if we want to double our account every year, for some people, they're quite happy with 1% a month, 2% a month. It doesn't matter as long as you're making money. But we're looking for, you know, aggregating our profits, and right now we're 1% up over the 2 days. So we're in pretty good shape. I would suggest we're okay. Obviously, that's it's not there yet. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I meant to get rid of that. It's not there yet, and we need to wait. Oh, do you know what? I should use tabs on this one, shouldn't I? Instead, here we go. We're not there yet. We need to wait. But if this does end up being a 2.5-3% trade, then we would have made the money back. That we've already made the money back, but we'll actually make a little bit more back, and we could be 2% for the week, which will be dandy. So we are in pretty good shape, mate. But that's pretty much it. I think that's a wrap for today. FTSE 100 is coming down pretty hard right now, so we are seeing some genuine moves to the downside. Antofagasta that I mentioned yesterday in the US show as well, that's also plummeting to the downside. So anybody that else that managed to get into that one, I didn't put it on the list because I'm not sure everybody has the ability to trade that, so it's not really one for the journal, but it was just an idea that I was throwing out for everybody. That one is also coming down, so it should be in pretty good shape from the last 2 days of trading, hopefully.
Mate, Aussie Dennis wants you to analyse the ASX 200, if you would be so kind.
Okay. Yeah, you got into copper, Helen. That's good. So you should be doing that. I like Dennis. Did you see Dennis's comment there, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
I think you should become a joke writer for us. I think we need somebody. What we got? What was going to go? Oh, the ASX 200. ASX 200. Yes. Where are you?
So Helen, you're not having fun with Swissy. That's yeah. some people back in 2015 would be very much in your corner at the moment. You must have missed the entry on Swissy yen 3 weeks ago, because we're still doing okay on that, and our trailing stop is well into profit. Fortunately,
there's certainly no doubt that the ASX 200 is showing a sell signal. Weekly charts with a monthly pivot, it's broken through, and today it might well have already set up. It certainly looks like it's on its way. Weekly pivot is always going to be a problem here, for sure, but it has reacted pretty significantly off that level. Now, I don't know what weight the likes of copper is to the Australian economy, but I would suspect if copper comes down, then this would be a pretty good proxy for what might happen to the ASX 200 as well. So it looks really good for downside, and you don't have to look too far to know that we've got pressure right across the board. There's the UK 100, the S&P stuck on the daily pivot, but it is weaker today. So we got it right across the board. Now, are you aware, Jeff, of what GDP is made up from copper for the
copper?
Aussie?
No, I don't, mate.
Okay, so we know it's a commodity-based nation, and I wonder whether this might have something to do with with what's going on with copper. We might even see iron ore as well. Dennis, you will get there, mate. You will get there. I'll tell you one thing, Dennis. You say you're a crap trader. One of the most important personality traits for any trader, in my opinion, one of the most important personality traits is to be able to be relatively carefree. And you seem to me like somebody who's probably relatively carefree.
I think we'd enjoy a beer together, Dennis and I think.
Yeah, I think you would. I mean, you think about it, Jeff. When you were gambling on horses, you kind of didn't care, did you? It was like, that almost kind of bedded you in for knowing what it's like to have a loss. You sort of.
I learned a very strong lesson, actually. It was, and the lesson was the emotional cost of losing was equal and opposite to the emotional high of winning. And therefore, in fact, it was probably a tad worse. And therefore, I had to stop. Otherwise, I would have, I don't know, jumped in front of the horses or something. It was just a nonsensical thing to do.
Yeah.
And, if after, a couple of years of trading, that was going to be the case, then I probably would have not be trading now as well, because it becomes a nonsensical thing. If you've exhausted, every avenue of trying to make it work, you've just got to come to the conclusion eventually that this is not for me. And it's, horse racing certainly not for me. And it did cost me to find that out. Generally, throughout my life, and I think this is true of a lot of, if not most people, lessons come generally at a cost. And the people that have come to ATW couldn't be in a better place, in my opinion, through my experience, through different traders and trading organizations throughout the world with whom I've worked. So, and wow, it's hard to say this, but, if at the end of the day, you've exhausted every single avenue of trying to learn how to get this right. And when do you come to that decision is a really, really tough one. When do you say, well, okay, it's over? I can't answer that for everybody, because everybody's different. But what I can say is, if at first it doesn't succeed, try again is very, very true. But you then have to come to a decision eventually that says, well, maybe this is just not for me. But, you need to exhaust a few avenues before you do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's, as I say, I think you've certainly got one of the personality traits, Dennis, and I think just giving yourself a little bit of give yourself a bit of a break. I'm sure you're not a crap trader. Maybe your approach isn't right yet, but you can get it right.
15% of GDP. There you go. That's fairly substantial.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, I've just seen. So Helen, last Thursday weren't in the German or the French, but both went up, down, and now up again. Could have taken several elevator rides. Oh well, you got to get in, Helen. If you see if it meets your parameters, you got to get into those trades, haven't you? It's very frustrating. It's nothing worse than the missing trades. But again, it's one of those things you got to be carefree and know. Okay, I've got to get over it. There's more trades out there, and this is all about making money, not necessarily what we make money out of. Just going to make sure that we make the right decision next time. 15% of GDP is important. Now, what I'd want to see next, which we're not going to do now, but maybe we can do it later on. Maybe I can prepare it for later show. What I'd want to next see, and I'll tell you guys about it, just in case you're not going to be in the US show later on. Just what I will be doing is superimposing a chart of the Aussie 200 onto copper and seeing if one drives the other genuinely enough. Does copper genuinely drive the Aussie? If copper does drop in price, does the Aussie also follow within a trading day or so, or are they so tightly knit that we can't really take advantage of that message? But by the opposite, if copper's going to grow, does the Aussie tend to grow? Or are we, and that's on the whole, because obviously worldwide markets tend to move in tandem at certain times. So there's going to be times, if you're looking at worldwide events, the Aussie will move. But generally speaking, over a course of 10 to 20 years, is copper a pretty good proxy for the Australian market? And if you get that, then you've just got yourself a decent barometer for how to help you make a decision. You don't need me for the confidence, Helen. Do you know what you should do? Oh, maybe you didn't post the trade, I don't know, but you don't need me for the confidence. You just got to journal it. You just got to journal it. That's how you'll get your confidence. Analyzing your own yourself and your own trades, really important. So,
Dollar Swissy question. Do I think it'll come down? Now I've lost the question. To the top of the range, I think was the question. Can you see that question from Sino, mate?
Let me see. Sino. Let me just let's have a look in the room, because it would have been posted there as well, won't it? Right. Yes, Swissy yen 4 hour looking for a short. That was from Sino. CAD Swiss.
Maybe it wasn't Sino. I thought it was.
No, I don't see anything else there, mate. The one thing from Sino was when prices between the two pivots, the longer the stronger does not apply, question mark.
Sorry, go again. Was that to me?
That was to you, yes.
What was the question? Sorry.
The question was, Jeff, when prices between two pivots, the longer
okay,
the stronger
we answered that one.
not...
Yeah. Oh, answered that one. And I found the other one, and it was from Sino as well. Do I think dollar Swissy will come down to the top of the range before going up? Have you got a dollar Swissy chart?
I do. Where it is, I don't know. I will find it. No, not that one.
I think the question for me, Sino, is will it come to the bottom of the range before going down rather than the reverse? It's interesting. And I don't trust the dollar at the moment, but I do see potentially that the dollar for the next little bit, maybe the rest of the week, is a sell. I think the dollar's a sell for the rest of the week. So that probably answers your question. Yes. And the range you're talking about in my book, I haven't got your... Have you got it there, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, this is, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, you can see the range he's talking about. It's about 91.70 or something like that, the top of it. No, go down. There. Yep.
Yeah.
So the question was, do I think it'll go to the bottom before going back up? Sorry, the top of that range before going back up. And the answer is weekly pivot's going to be an issue. But if it did go down to there, then you've probably got something on your hands. I'm a bear, frankly, but that doesn't mean anything. It's definitely in a sell zone, and it's very, very similar to what we saw on the dollar index as well earlier. It's in a very, very similar position. So I think it's definitely on the way down. Whether it gets through that weekly pivot or not is the question. If it broke the weekly pivot and retested it, then I think you've got reason to think it's going to 91.80-ish, something like that, to the top of your range, yes. And if it snuck back in there, then look out. It may be going south in a hurry.
Mm. Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Okie dokes. All right, well, let's wrap it up. We'll be back in a few hours anyway to pop into the US show, just have a little review of the trades that we are in. And obviously, we'll be in the US show where we will update the journal and discuss.
And Shukri's on.
Oh, and Shukri's on. Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, we have time to update the journal. I don't know if we will, actually.
Oh, my goodness. Shukri, can Ash add a minute at the end? Would that be good?
I tell you what, we will do the journal at the end. I'll just update the journal right at the end.
Or
see you tonight, Shukri.
If I get in any trades, I'll let you know the results.
That'd be fantastic.
Okie dokie.
Ethereum 2 is on. Okay, that sounds. Oh, really? Okay. All right. I tell you what, mate. I'm going to be. I have to pop out to 2:15, as I said to you before. So I'm going to play you in, let you go, and then I'll be back around about 2:30 to join you again. I want to hear about Ethereum 2, and I want to hear more about USDT. I want to talk to you about that as well. Got a couple of questions on that. Okay, have a great rest of the day, guys. I will see everybody in a few hours' time with Shukri. Jeff, I will see you in the morning, I guess. But no, I won't see you in the morning. Will I see you in the afternoon?
Yeah, I'll be around if you want me.
Okay, but otherwise no. Okay, no problem. All right, mate. Well, I'll see you. I will see you tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'll see you Thursday.
Happy days. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Rest of you. I will see you in the morning at 5 to 8. Don't be late.
Get out of here.